We actually have the stone. This is Paula, and this is whoever holds the stone, and this is the stone, but we're not going to really pass it. I'm here today with Richard and Sanford and Greg, and of course my son, Tom, on drums.
There's 5 of us.
Others, and me. I'm Paula. So anyway, I am here, and I am excited because we haven't done this in a while. So I want to start. We've had a lot of good conversations before the show even started, but I'm going to I don't know if I'm going to bring it down or not, but I'm going to read this. Great speeches by American women, all of it. No, not really. Okay, so this one speech. First of all, Mary Harris Mother Jones this is a person, a real person. The magazine Mother Jones, I did not know was named after this person. And she is quite the interesting. So I'm going to read 2 little passages from this speech. It was a speech that she gave in 1912, and it was regarding, it says, appeal to the cause of miners in the Paint Creek District. And so she gave this in the Paint Creek District. All right, so never in history of the United States was there such an upheaval as there is today. The politicians are cutting each other's throats, eating each other up. They are for the offices. Teddy, the monkey chaser, had a meeting in Chicago. He was blowing his skull off his carcass about a race suicide. God Almighty, bring him down to the CNO, and he will never say another word about race suicide. The whole population seems to be made up out of kids. Every woman has 3 babies in her arms and 9 on the floor. So you will see there is no danger of race suicide. When he sees this, he will keep his mouth shut on that. So this is something that they've talked about. The Republican Party is complaining about that there's not enough babies being born. This must be like a bait and switch for real problems. So she goes on to say, see the condition we are in today? There's a revolution. There is an editorial in one of the papers in your own state showing how little they have done for the workers, that the workers are awakening. The literature is being circulated among them. I myself have circulated millions and millions of pieces of literature in this country and awakened the miners. On the trains they say, oh, Mother, you gave us a book that woke us up. As long as you woke up right, it's all right, he says. I have woke up right. Then you woke up all right, and you are my children. So this woman, she was 70. I can't remember how old she was. She was, when she gave this speech, she was in her 70s. And she was standing up there on platforms with miners and leading the cause. You know, that's pretty cool. And okay, so I'm learning to love her. But there's one more thing that she said about women that I thought was really interesting, because don't forget, this was in 1912. Women did not have the right to vote. They were still trying, and they were told what their place was. So in this, it says, he has learned it won't do to tamper with women of the right mettle. You have a few cats, mockingly. They are not women. They are what you call ladies. There is a difference between women and ladies. The modern parasite made ladies, but God Almighty made women. I just loved that. Anyway, this is, some of these speeches are more, they're more into correctness because they're women talking. Although there's the Sojourner Truth speech about Ain't I a Woman? You know, that's a really good one. But most of them, the women are trying to have some kind of decorum while they're delivering these words, these, revolutionary words. But not Mother Jones.
She lived to be 93.
Wow.
She used to tell, when she hit 90, she just told people, I'm 100 now. And when she died, they didn't bother even looking what she died from. They just said, if you made it to 93, we'll just say you died of old
You're on
age.
borrowed time at that point, right?
Absolutely, especially,
And 19, whatever it was.
Yeah.
30.
Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty amazing. Yeah, she's something. I wouldn't mind reading a book about her.
What probably sustained her was the fact that she had a purpose.
Absolutely.
She had a drive.
She was passionate.
Right? Yeah.
The stuff that she was like she made she took a collection at the end of the speech, because everybody, all these miners had been standing there and rallying around her, and so she passed the hat, but to only the mine owners and the rich people that were standing on the periphery, and she said she wanted to get enough for a glass of beer for each one of those miners, and she was just like she just really made me smile. Like, this is a woman in 1912. She was so ahead of her time, and she just didn't let. And that thing about lady, that I have this thing about the word lady because it comes with rules. I don't like it. I don't like. If you call me a lady, you're wrong. Because I don't follow those rules. It's not in my vocabulary. But yeah, so I'm also reading a book that I got from Sanford, and of course it's not a unusual book. It's a book that a lot of people have read. It's The Divine Comedy, and I was telling him earlier, I really found hell and purgatory fascinating. These ideas and these thoughts and all of these different levels that came out of Dante's mind were amazing. But heaven's a little boring. It's just a little boring. There's a lot of light, there's a lot of love, but no real images. I mean, you get people coming out of shadow. You get some people coming out of shadow that he can talk to, but there's no real visceral images
It's abstract.
that I can hang on to. So I'm going to finish it because I do that. That's what I do. I want to read it. But it's taken me a long time because I'm wanting to skip over heaven.
I ran out of steam about a third of the way into Paradise, and I never finished the whole thing. So I'm going to finish it one of these days, but I'm right there with you. So you're
okay. All right.
You probably surpassed me at this point.
I was actually thinking. I said, Sanford would be so disappointed that I'm not enjoying this.
A lot of many readers have found the same obstacle roadblock. You know, the other day I was taking my walk and I saw my neighbors out, and I'm friendly, and I went to say hi. And my neighbors across the street have a daughter who's in her 20s, and her name is Hannah, and maybe early 20s. She recently graduated from college. And she was all excited. And she said, guess what book I've got? Dante's Divine Comedy. And because I told her about it, and I was so enthusiastic about it. So I felt like it was I was happy that I had that influence on her, and she really is enjoying it. So
I don't think I would have read it unless I had talked to you about it. It was on the back of. I like source material. I like old books, so I may have gotten to it at some point. But I certainly, you gave me the book to read, so I had it in my hands, and I had no excuse.
Well, it's a profound lesson about how to live your life. He starts out in a dark place, and he wants to go towards this light, which all of us metaphorically want to go to something better. And Virgil says, if you want to be happy, if you want to be fulfilled, if you want to live your life the right way, you have to face up to the things you don't want to deal with. You have to go to hell. And I think that's metaphorically true of everyone. If you run away from your problems and your demons, they're going to come and get you. I found that to be true.
Right. And the thing is, too, when you're younger, you make certain mistakes because your part of your brain is saying, oh, this sounds like a really fun thing to do, and the other part of your brain saying, this is dangerous, and you usually pick the fun side. But that's how you learn, and the mistakes are part of being human, and if you don't make mistakes, you don't grow. You don't really, you grow from adversity and pain, as Greg can tell you. You know, you make some determinations about life and the value of it based on having it parts of it taken away from you.
But I think also the key part of that is you have to be willing to reflect on those mistakes that you've made.
Oh,
And
right.
look at the significance, and the meaning that it has for your
And-
life. So
And not judge yourself
the-
too
the-
harshly, because if you would make those decisions, if you could make them again with what you know now, you'd make different decisions.
yeah, you had different information then than you have now.
And you learn a lot, and
Yeah.
that's just the way it goes. But yeah, so I'm every night it's at least 4 or 5 pages of paradise and a couple pages of the Old Testament. I'm in. What is the book after Song of Solomon? It's a prophet, Ezekiel maybe. I'm in Ezekiel, and there's a lot of fire and brimstone in there.
So you got heaven and four pages of paradise and then a little bit of hell to balance it out.
Something like
A
that.
little bit of Ezekiel.
So this isn't my favorite book, but I'm getting through it, and then I go to my speeches and I read just usually two pages before I fall asleep. I'm having a problem sleeping lately, so I've joined this sleep club here. You don't have a problem sleeping, do you, Richard?
I came up with this technique about 25 years ago,
Okay.
and I've been using it ever since, and it works for me.
All right. Do you want to share it, or?
Sure.
Okay.
Whenever you sleep in the same bed with somebody,
Mm-hmm.
are you able to tell if they fall asleep before you?
Yes, you can hear them breathe. You can.
Exactly.
There's a
They're-
sleep breathing.
They're breathing. That's right. There's a sleep breathing. So I never noticed that until I noticed it with Julia.
Okay.
There would be nothing. Then all of a sudden, and I thought, oh, that's the exhale. It's a silent inhale, and then a nice, long, smooth exhale.
Wow.
I said, I wonder what would happen if I imitated her. So I tried to follow along so that I had the same rhythm as her. Mm-hmm. It worked.
Well,
I fell asleep.
I do. I will do the concentrate on my breathing thing, but it's not so much trying to sleep breathe, which is a really good idea, actually, because I do know what sleep breathing sounds like. But what I do is I look behind. I have my eyes closed, and I try to see something behind my eyes, and then I concentrate on my breath. I'll do the so hum. It's so, it's like breathe. It's so, and then hum. So so hum, so hum. So I'll do that, and sometimes that works. And especially I'll start seeing colors behind my eyes, like green, purple. And just like blotches of color, and sometimes those colors will start to merge into images. And if I recognize it, I wake up. If I don't, if I let it go, then I can fall asleep. But if I recognize that I'm right about to fall asleep, I wake right back up. And I also wake up during the night. So I don't know. I'm trying to.
What wakes you up?
I think my problem had always been, because I used to wake up every hour. I think my problem is I would wake up at the end of REM sleep. So you go through these.
The cycle.
Yeah,
the
Rob,
90-minute
it is.
cycle of this. Yeah.
Yeah,
sleep
so you go
cycle,
through
yeah.
this 90-minute cycle. So I would always wake up it would go to the top and then go down, and I would wake up at the bottom, and then I'd fall back to sleep, and then I'd wake up when it got to the bottom.
So it's not to go to the bathroom.
No, not usually. I sometimes do go to the bathroom because it's like, oh, well, if I don't go to the bathroom now, then I'll wake up again and have to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
So I'll just get up naturally for that. But I'm working on it. Rob, and I also do like alphabet things like animals, but then I'll do visual things, like instead of just saying aardvark, I'll say apricot aardvark in an apron, and I'll visualize it. So that helps sometimes, you know.
Greg, are you closer to the school that sleeping is not that hard, or closer to it's very hard to do?
Not that hard if you're logical. I mean, you can just that sheep counting thing makes sense to me. I think if you just logically think, I'm calm, I'm centered, you'll be fine.
Yeah. I do the backwards counting, but because I used to listen to some CDs that you made for me, and they would bring you down by counting backwards, and you'd be walking backwards down the stairs or something. And I put myself at the top of a pyramid in Chichen Itza, which I was on when I traveled.
Yeah.
And I will go down by holding it, because you can't go down because the steps are so narrow, because they wanted the heads to roll down without hitting anything. So you have to hold on to a chain. So I imagine I'm going backwards down the steps at Chichen Itza and with the chain, and that sometimes helps too. The little tricks. There's little tricks, but sometimes there's too much information, and that's why the reading usually helps, because it empties my mind of any information that would keep me awake. But yeah, so Richard, I know you must have a list. We haven't done a show in a month.
I saw an interesting cartoon today. Which has me thinking. So let me open it up for you in a new tab. Okay, Mr. Windsor, can you show VIN 9, please? Okay, so the person sitting down is looking at his laptop and he's thinking, I'm going to be replaced by AI. And the bowl of fruit is thinking, I'm going to be replaced by another bowl of fruit. Now, what's your interpretation of that?
We're all replaced by something at some point.
And what's yours?
I think it mockingly minimizes the seriousness of being replaced by something that's inhuman. I think it denies our humanity. We're not fruit.
Well, is it true what the person sitting down is thinking, I'm going to be replaced by AI?
Possibly.
I don't know how closely you followed a lot of experts who make this stuff. They're really worried about it.
Uh-huh.
They don't know what it's going to do.
Yeah.
So it's really uncertain, and I find that rather frightening. And the one guy, and I didn't expect this question, and I wasn't expecting to discuss this at all.
Nobody expects AI.
And one of the guys who was involved deeply in making this stuff, he said it's really inhuman. And the way that it makes decisions doesn't care about your humanity, it cares about the statistics. You become a statistical abstraction. You're not a human being anymore. And I find the idea that an entity like that could be it's in its infancy now. Give it 100 years. I find the idea that an entity like that could have so much power over us, I find it horrific, frankly. I find it terrifying. Yeah.
Well,
and I think we already live in a society that's inhuman in many, many ways. I think social media is inhuman and fake. It's fake meets fake. We're already there.
I agree.
But where it's headed, I don't know.
Well, there was a incident last week where they gave AI instructions to figure something out, and AI hacked another AI, and they didn't give them that instruction, but they didn't tell them not to either.
Right.
But I think and we were watching Bill Maher, and somebody made a point about how this might be hype to get because it's so powerful that we can't even control it to get more funding for AI. So we don't know, like you say, human, people are very foxy. Who knows if they're putting this stuff out there to give us a false sense of fear, so that we want to invest more money so that they can put more guardrails.
Yeah, and think about who's creating this stuff. It isn't the guy down the street in his garage who's a common, ordinary person. These are very wealthy, very powerful individuals who do not necessarily have our interests at heart.
No, they're not right.
Our food is toxic. The air is toxic. A child can just look up pornography on their phone in 2 seconds, and that's toxic. And who controls all of that stuff? And I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but
No,
I find it rather, they don't care about us. So why would this new invention be in our interests? Maybe some of it is.
It's more in the interest of people who can make money by getting rid of employees and using AI. Although a lot of these, for some reason, these manufacturers are hiring back employees, and they didn't give any reason except that it's a little suspicious because the job numbers were due to come out. And who knows who asked these companies to hire back these people to make the job numbers look better. I mean, we're in this weird disinformation place in our country now, at least.
Pseudo reality. It's hard to know.
It's hard to know what to trust.
Yeah.
You don't know what to trust, and that's where it gets a little scary. I mean, you can make an educated guess. I like aspects of AI. I like being able to ask my phone a question and have it do the research, and then if there's something questionable, I can do the research on them. But I don't even like those phone calls you have to make where you have to go through 7 different questions to get to a person.
Yeah.
And that's the way the world's going to be. We're just going to develop more and more into that we're not going to ever be able to talk to a human being again on the phone. And they're going to be able to respond to us like a human would, because they're going to have all the information.
But just so I could say, I'm not an entire, they used to use the word Luddite. I'm sure you're familiar with that. Where's Ned Ludd? Destroy the machinery because the machines are replacing the humans.
Close.
Right?
That's close.
That's more or less the idea, isn't it? I mean, they're replacing our jobs. They're taking it. I thought that was the idea of the Luddites, who were anti-factory.
And it's perfectly understandable that you interpret it that way.
Okay.
So here's the point of view of labor history. Okay. From the point of view of labor history, the in England, where you had the fabrics that were being turned out because of the Industrial Revolution, the new ways of spinning fabrics and everything required machinery.
Right.
So you had these factories, and they were bringing in more and more sophisticated machines. And the workers saw this, and they said, wow, the last time you did this, you fired half of us. So they said to the owner, we'll tell you what, go ahead, bring in these machines, show us how to use them, show us how to maintain them, but keep everybody on the same pay. You'll make money, and we'll make money.
Right, because there'll be more production.
And the factory owner said, now why would I want to do that? Like, it was baffling to them. And they had the police
because they want to cut costs.
And they had the police on their side, too. So not only did those workers get fired, but mysteriously the machine started breaking down. Rocks and stuff were being thrown into the machine, and nobody knew who did it, but they did know who did it. And they called these people Luddites. So they told the newspapers, not that the owner said, I'm not going to keep the whole staff. They told the newspapers, they hate technology. And that has stuck throughout history. See, so it's not surprising.
Yeah, that's a nuanced explanation, but it still goes back to the fact that they were in danger and at risk and were indeed losing their jobs. So and not being paid what they were worth. So that I think there was a threat from the technology the way it was being used. You know, right? But to get back to my point, I'm not a complete Luddite when it comes to AI. I think it has its value. Like Paula was saying, I view it, if you go on Google AI, it's like an extremely sophisticated search engine. And lately, I've been getting back into classical guitar playing. And by the way, as you very well know, I have focal dystonia. And in the last year, I have made, frankly, astounding progress with my hands.
I don't know what that.
Focal dystonia is a neurological condition. They think musicians get it a lot. I knew a doctor who got it. He couldn't do dentistry anymore. He had to retire.
Okay.
And what happens is your brain sends a message neuromuscularly through the somatic nervous system to your hand, for example. And in a guitarist, your fingers do this. What they'll do is this. They'll tense up. So it took me 10 years of doing this, that for hours. And it's beginning to come back. So
That's
what this has
excellent.
proven to me is that there really is something to this idea of neuroplasticity, that even at your age, I'm
Absolutely.
62, your brain can change. Now, why am I not I'm sorry, go
No,
ahead.
your brain can change at any age.
Yes, and
Yeah.
it's exciting to me
It is.
to see this happen, and I get so frustrated when I hear people say, I'm old, I'm too old. I'm 62, and I still exercise, and I still have vitality, and I'm still learning new things, and I'm not in the state of mind that, I'm in decline. I mean, I suppose realistically I am. I'm not 20.
Do you know
but,
what you have that they don't?
friends like you.
Curiosity.
Well, that's true too. Yeah.
Curiosity is not what killed
Yeah.
the cat.
Yeah, but
Curiosity is your biggest friend.
yeah, that's true.
It'll keep
Yeah.
it'll make you want to stay healthy so you can learn more shit.
Yeah, yeah. Like I'm still curious. That's a very well said. But the reason I don't feel that I'm entirely anti AI is because the purpose or the questions I've been giving it are, how can I improve my focal dystonia and how can I improve my practice? And it gave me these incredibly insightful and really smart, like professional guitarists, like world-class musicians, how do they practice every day? And I have dozens of pages of all this excellent information that I've been applying, and it's really helpful. So there is a lot that you can do with it that is very valuable, right? It's not all bad. I get it. But the question is, where is it going? To me, that's if this stuff gets out of hand and out of control.
Well, it's like fire. Fire is
know.
great. It's we can cook our food. We can
yeah.
we can it does wonderful things, but it also will burn something down. I mean, nothing is singly good or bad.
Yeah,
You
it's
know.
the use that it's put to.
Right.
Yeah, but if it decides, and I used to think this is some crazy conspiracy theory, but maybe not. What if AI actually gets so intelligent that it decides it no longer needs us? That's a real possibility that they're genuinely concerned about. This isn't a hysterical idea from some, I don't even like conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
I think most of them are nonsense.
Right.
But sometimes there are conspiracies, and sometimes these ideas do hold some water. And in this particular case, I think it's worth considering and being having some healthy skepticism.
I think
Let's say.
I think it's a possibility. I don't know for sure. I mean, how can you know, right? I mean, what do you think, Richard? Do you think?
Let me finish the story about what you said about going on the internet and hacking into another AI.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so Anthropic is one of the founders of artificial intelligence, and I didn't know this until this story came out on the news. But what they do is they license their software to other companies. So, for example, if you have this brilliant idea, there's a lot of people who play Dungeons and Dragons. I'm going to use the AI software. I'm going to rent it from them, and then I'm going to set up my own Dungeons and Dragons AI, and I'm going to record all these games that are played throughout the world, and then people can contact me and say, what should my character do in this scenario?
Ah.
You know? and I'll make a lot of money because these are nutty people that are into Dungeons and Dragons,
Right.
you know? So it was a company like that got hacked. Like, they're not a top flight AI company. They're one of these little minor things along the way who don't have any safeguards
Right, because
against getting hacked. Because
There's really no
who
reason.
wants our data, right? In fact, they even said to the company, what'd you think about the fact that, you know, when it got out, it hacked you? We're honored.
Yeah, I did hear that.
We're so small and insignificant that they decided we were worth looking into.
Yeah, I did hear that guy talking. I don't remember, it was on NPR, I guess. But yes, I am a very peaceful person. My personality is most. I like everybody should get along. You know, I'm just that kind of person, and so I like to think that we're going to get along with AI. AI is going to see our our special things that we can do, and we're going to see the special things that they can do, and we're going to be able to work together. That's what I'd like to think. But somebody said, and I don't remember who it was, if it was somebody on television or somebody we talked to recently, that they're afraid that AI is going to keep them alive even if they don't want to be.
I said that.
You said that? That was your quote?
Yes.
And I never thought of that. You know, like,
That's what I'm scared of.
because Bill Maher wants AI to keep him alive as long as possible.
I'm just saying.
But
I
yeah,
have
if
this
you're
bad
suffering,
feeling.
yeah. Go ahead.
I have this bad feeling that I'm going to be dying slowly, and AI is going to keep me alive and keep other people alive that are dying slowly and in pain. And if you died slowly, like 10 years ago or 15 years ago or whatever, it wouldn't be this. You just die.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we're in the AI era,
And you think it's because they thought they were doing us a favor?
it doesn't matter why. Why they think they're doing us a favor? Yeah, a favor is possible, but just
Yeah, to continue on in agony.
Preserve life at all costs.
Yeah.
it seems like I feel like heaven's just a made up thing by human beings, and I just feel like I have this bad feeling that I'm going to stay alive forever and be just dying forever because of AI.
Well, we're hoping that doesn't happen.
Yeah, I hope it doesn't go that way.
I knew I heard it somewhere.
Yeah.
Who knew it was the person that lived in my house with me? It just goes to show you how horrible my memory is. So you brought some notes here with you, Sanford.
Yeah.
What did you want to talk about today?
Well, I told you I'm reading Robert Musil's Man Without Qualities, a book, and I didn't know at the time it was only a small part of the book. A friend of mine, Dan Lewis, who used to work in all these local bookstores, gave me a lot of books. Every Christmas I would get a box full of books, and one of the books was a slender volume. I found out only a sliver of the original massive War and Peace-like length novel that this thing is. And it just sat staring at me, and I thought, Robert Musil, who is that? and I looked him up, and I got very minimal information. And I asked people who read a lot. I never heard of him. I've gone online even. Most people don't read this guy. But I started to... whenever I did hear about him, I also heard that this novel is regarded as one of the great masterpieces of 20th century literature, up there with À la recherche du temps perdu by Proust or James Joyce's Ulysses. And he did not like Ulysses or James Joyce. He thought he was overrated. Musil didn't like him. But as I'm about halfway through this masterpiece, and I think it is a masterpiece, and I'm beginning to think it is one of the great novels ever written. First of all, a little background. Robert Musil had a military background. He was low-ranking in nobility. He didn't like the military. He went to military school. He had advanced degrees in engineering, mathematics, and philosophy.
Wow.
He was very passionate about the poor and about economic equality, but he was extremely suspicious of Marxism and communism. He was, while at the same time, very critical of capitalism. Okay? And he was interested in absolutely everything that you could be interested in. Okay? And he wrote a book, a shorter book, and some plays. The book was called Young Torless. And in his lifetime, he enjoyed some success. He was also a devotee of physical fitness. He was a gymnast, I think. And he stayed in good shape as much as he could. Smoking killed him, unfortunately. That's kind of an ironic paradox. And this book took him 20 years to write. I think he started writing it in the early 20s, and he finished in the 40s when he died. He left Germany when Hitler took over, and he had some problems. I think he died in Switzerland. I might be wrong about the exact places, but where he died. But in any event, what is the novel about? I think that's one of the reasons why the book is not as well known. He developed a method of writing called essayism. And what it is each chapter is a dense essay about every imaginable subject that you can think of, the relationships between men and women, ethics, philosophy, economics, politics, communism, capitalism, every possible idea that you can talk about. And in the midst of these essays, this essayism style of writing, characters emerge. And there's not a central plot. If there is a plot, the characters are great. Ulrich, who is the man without qualities. And what that means is, and I'm sure the German term for qualities has multiple meanings that it doesn't in English, but he's a man without qualities because he can't really decide and stick with one idea. When he looks at a political idea, he sees many possibilities. Why does it just have to be, for example, in our culture, you're either woke or MAGA? He would say, no, it could be many, many different things. There are many ways of viewing a problem, not just from a rigid perspective, right?
Yeah, that is true.
And you can see this reflected. So he reminds me of Dostoevsky because Dostoevsky would argue the opposite. Like he would argue why there's no God, and then he was a believer. He would argue why there is a God. And by the time you finish Dostoevsky, you could be an atheist because his arguments for no God are so convincing. And I think it's the same thing in Musil with all these different ideas. Now, so what is the book about? It's set in 1 year, 1913 to 1914. Austro-Hungarian Empire as it is deteriorating. What happened in 1914? Archduke Franz Ferdinand was assassinated, who was the heir to the throne of Austria-Hungary, and it leads Austria into this destructive, cataclysmic, apocalyptic war. Okay? And it's about a group of upper class and some bourgeois, we used that word earlier, people who decide they are going to celebrate the greatness of Austria-Hungary, and they call it the Great Parallel Campaign. And they want word from all the common people, from all the middle class people, from all the upper class people within the Austro-Hungarian Empire about why it's great. And in these meetings, this is where all these different ideas are debated, and it gets so deep. But they're all dancing on a volcano because they can't see that it's all going to end in catastrophe. They're just on the edge. And I don't think he goes into the war itself. And the novel itself is unfinished, and he died in poverty. My understanding is largely because he left because of the Nazi takeover. And I just want to read, if I can, some of his, not only his style of writing, but I think his courageous ability to look really deeply at opposite ideas, even ideas that he may not have agreed with. And I'm misspeaking badly because it's such a massive novel, and it has so much humanity. But here are some ideas. Here's a great. And it comes from a chapter called Love on the Highest Level is No Joke. Historic periods of permissive, and this is us today.
Yeah.
This talks about us right now. And that's another thing about the book. I'm reading it, and every time I read a passage or a chapter, I have to take a walk around the block because it just hits me like a sledgehammer. Yeah. Because I recognize myself, and I recognize the world we live in today. It's like he's writing about us.
I'm finding
And-
this a lot in
yeah.
the speeches.
I'll bet you
Yeah,
are. Yeah, and I noticed that when you shared that selection, that
Yeah.
she could have been talking about our own politicians
Right.
now, right, instead
Yeah.
of Teddy. So that's what a lot of this is. But here's a great paragraph. Historic periods of permissiveness have never failed so far in making all those who lived in them miserable. All discipline, abstinence, chivalry, music, morality, poetry, form, taboo, have no deeper purpose than to give the correct limits, a definite shape to life. There is no such thing as boundless happiness. There is no great happiness without taboo.
That's awesome.
Wow. The real truth between two people cannot be put into words. Every effort of that kind only creates a further obstacle between them. So to me, he understood before neuroscience taught us about the differences between the right brain, which takes in the gestalt, the whole experience, and the left brain, which cuts it up into little pieces and, uses it for itself. And
Yeah.
it's the word, breaking things down into
And
words. He
it's-
understood that.
It's not only the brains, but there's a level of communication that happens beyond words.
Yes.
Just
That's it, right.
And you can't even put words to it.
And he talks, and I'm going to address that right here.
Yeah.
He talks a lot about that. He says, no one is a born rationalist and utilitarian. We all start out as a living soul, but ordinary, everyday existence silts us up. The usual human passions go through us like a firestorm, and the cold world brings out the coldness in us that freezes the soul. Here's another great one about bigotry. Ethnic prejudice is usually nothing more than, this is so profound. Ethnic prejudice is usually nothing more than self-hatred, dredged up from the murky depths of one's own conflicts and projected onto some convenient victim. A traditional practice from time immemorial when the shaman used a stick, said to be the repository of the demon's power to draw out this sickness of the afflicted. In other words, we're sick ourselves and we project it onto others because it's a way of us dealing with our own hate.
Right.
What a brilliant
Yeah.
a way of expressing that idea. This is the long one, and it's the last one I'm going to read.
Okay.
But I think it's amazing. It's basically from a conversation about these young kids in their 20s who are sort of communist sympathizers. And then not exactly, but sort of.
Mm-hmm.
And they're having a discussion about it. How impossible it becomes, for instance, to apply that verbal gesture to possess to lovers, possession. Once one remembers the etymology of the word, from potus and sedere, that is, possess equals to sit upon, to beset. Does it show desires of a higher order to aim at possessing principle, the respect of one's children, ideas, or oneself? But this clumsy ploy of a heavy animal subduing its prey with the full weight of its own body is still, and rightly, the basic and favorite term of capitalism, showing the connection between the possessors of the social world and the possessors of knowledge and skills, which is what it makes of its thinkers and artists, while love and asceticism stand apart in this lonely kinship. How aimless this pair appears, how devoid of a target, compared with the aims and targets of normal life. But the terms aims and target derive from the language of the marksman. To be without aim or without target must have meant, at one point, not to be out to kill. So merely by tracking down the clues in language itself, a blurred and revealing trail, one can see how crudely changed meaning has everywhere usurped the function of far subtler messages, now quite lost to us, that ever perceptible but never quite tangible nexus of things. But you kind of get the idea of how he writes, and
Yeah, he takes it apart.
Yeah.
The etymology, he takes it
Yeah.
apart, and I like the idea about the hunting words that are used now for
Yeah.
other, well, not then, for other
that's my
purposes.
target, that's my aim. I'm going to possess that
Yeah,
thing or
and
that person.
and the violence that's behind
That's right.
those words.
Yeah.
You don't think about it It's interesting.
Yeah, and capitalism in its unbridled fashion is violent and
The way it is now.
utilitarian and
There's
yeah,
there's kind capitalism, but we don't have that now.
yeah,
we don't have
that's
that.
I agree.
You know, in
Yeah.
the old days when people would remain loyal to their employer and the employer would remain loyal to them because of that, that was kind capitalism. We don't have that now. You know, you serve a purpose, and as soon as we're done with you, you're gone. We don't care what happens to you when you're gone. So, you know, we are in a different place. You know, I know you have your own ideas about capitalism.
Mm-hmm.
And do you want to talk about those?
I agree with what you just said. That it's amoral. Or you could look at another way. They only have. Is something wrong with my headset, Tom? No. It sounds like I'm coming through somebody else's headset.
I can hear you clearly.
Okay, good.
I
good,
can hear you
good,
clearly,
good.
yeah.
Okay, so then it has to do with my. All right. The main purpose of capitalism is to make money.
Mm-hmm.
So what has happened, and this is, right out of Karl Marx, we have a working class and then we have an investment class.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody in investment class is the same thing. Factory owner, have you made money this quarter? They don't say, how did you make money? Did you make something worthwhile?
Mm-hmm.
They just say, how much did you make?
Right.
And of course, the implication is, if you don't make enough, you're not going to be here next quarter.
Right.
So there's all this pressure put on factory owners. You got to meet your quota. However, you got to do it. And that's where, of course, AI comes in.
Yeah.
If it replaces 50, no matter how much you like those people, you got to let them go because you got to meet your quota for the next quarter.
I don't get the impression that a lot of people in power look upon the people that work for them as people.
Mm.
They're either assets or they're not.
Yeah, exactly. They don't think about the fact they have families and
They probably see most of
They
them
have
as
house
compromised assets. Don't need them.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, expenses.
Do you know how Robert Musil died?
No.
He died of a stroke. And he did it while he was exercising.
In his bathroom, which I found strange.
He did all his exercising in his bathroom.
Did he?
Must have been a big
Wait a
bathroom.
minute.
Yeah.
Did he utilize steam when he did his exercising? Because there's like all these the hot yoga and stuff like that. I'm wondering if that had a.
That I don't know.
Yeah.
And when his wife found him, and then of course the literary community all wanted to interview the wife about the circumstances regarding his death.
Right.
She made this famous statement. She said, "When I found him, the expression on his face was one of astonishment and mockery."
Wow.
Now, when I read that, I thought, you should have taken a photo.
Wow.
Let us decide.
Yeah.
What the interpretation of his
that's her
expression was.
interpretation
Yeah.
of what she saw. How much of that did she make up?
Yeah.
See?
Yeah.
That's why you got to have a love of photography if you really want to be a
I
good
don't
writer.
know. I can see. I have to put myself in her place. And finding my husband dead in the bathroom, my first instinct wouldn't be to take a photograph,
Well,
no
you
matter
had-
what his face looked like.
You have no idea how long before the medical people came over.
Yeah, that's true. Anyway, I find that you know what, you could imagine though, especially he's exercising and he's healthy and he thinks that he's going to live long because he's doing the right thing, and all of a sudden something happens in his heart and I could see him having those two expressions
Yeah,
on
like
his
what?
face.
This isn't supposed to be happening to
The
me.
hell, man.
Yeah. I'm astonished. Yeah, so maybe she's right, but a picture wouldn't have hurt.
Yeah, definitely. So, I don't know if we're going to be able to do this. I had a little playful thing to do with portraits, and I don't know, Tom, if you have access to Richard's messenger.
He does.
Okay, so I sent a couple pictures, and I think maybe we'll just do one because, we've really spent a lot of time, and this is great. No lack of conversation. What happened to my messenger? Messenger. Yeah. So let's see. Oh, I know which one. The one where no, that's true. That's fun. But the one where the two women have the head in the basket. It's the second one from the bottom. And now I don't know. Oh, okay. I have the artist's name here. Are you able to see it, Tom? Oh, there we go. Yeah. All right. So this is I had told Richard that I was listening to this book on audiobook about women artists. It was called Art Without Men. And she went through history and she took all these little known women artists that were doing painting. Like this one happens to come from, I don't know, I think this one was the 17th century. Maybe it was the 18th century. But put the picture back up. I want to talk about it while it's up. Okay, so the woman that painted this was Artissima
Gentilici.
Do you know this painting?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Well, good for you, because there were so many women artists I'd never heard of. Well, it's a depiction of John the Baptist, and I'm not 100% sure who the two women are. So I know the story of Salome and dancing and Bring Me the Head of John the Baptist and the whole thing. Now, so this woman had to imagine what the characters look like, because there's no pictures of them. But I'm thinking, what man would have given the women that kind of power and strength and musculature, and look at the face on that woman. You can't really see the one face, but she's like, yeah, come get me. No man would have ever painted this scene with the women that looked like this. Mm-hmm. These look like badass women that you wouldn't want to meet outside. You don't want to piss these women off. And I love the fact that at this point in history, do you know what century she painted in?
When did
Probably 17th century, I think.
When did Caravaggio live in the 1600s?
17th century.
She was a contemporary of Caravaggio.
So that looks. I was going to say Caravaggio because it seems like there's
Caravaggio used to come to her house.
Okay.
To visit with her father. The father would never mention to Caravaggio that his daughter was interested in painting.
Well, because it's a girl.
It's not a ladylike thing to do. Until one time, Caravaggio said, I saw this painting, and he described it, and the father realized that his daughter painted it. And he said, well, I wasn't going to say anything, but yeah, it is my daughter. And from that point on, Caravaggio would always want to talk to Artemisia when he came over.
Yeah.
Because you could see the similarities.
But just the painting. I mean, first of all, the technique is amazing. The folds on the fabric, the basket, everything. It's just perfectly done. But the power that she gave to these women is so dramatic, and you see wisps. Women, men paint men imagine and paint wispy women. Mm-hmm. She's looking at that power behind. She's looking at not the lady, but the woman, And so I loved that one so much. That was my favorite one that I found when I was putting these up on Facebook for a while. that was a fun. I don't know what got me off of that, but I was having a lot of fun putting up these paintings by women, and women I never heard of. How did you run across her?
From probably a Google search and saying that had to be Caravaggio.
Oh,
It's not?
Yeah, that was my initial reaction when I saw it. I thought Caravaggio right away.
So she had the misfortune of being date raped
by.
by somebody who she thought was a respectable man,
Oh,
and turned out he wasn't, and he denied it. And the father said to the daughter, "We got to let this go. He's got so much power in society. They're going to believe him and not you."
yeah. Well, that's how it still goes.
That bothered her. So you notice how in every one of her paintings, women have like taken out a certain revenge on men. That's no accident.
I didn't know. I mean, I didn't see. I know that when I found a woman artist that I liked, I did my best to research online. Pictures that were made by them, but I don't remember the other ones. This thing I was doing was probably 2 years ago, so whatever happened to my, it wasn't that I had a lack of interest in it. It's just that other pressing things took place in my life that I needed to care for.
Sure.
But I really, in fact, it's made me want to go and reinvestigate a little bit and I had this one book, and I sent it to my sister to read, and I wish I hadn't sent it to her because I told her I wanted it back, and I don't even remember the name of the woman, but she was she did a naturalist. She did flowers.
Yeah.
And she had led the most adventurous life, and it was in the late 1800s.
Mm-hmm.
And she traveled alone. In fact, she would bring a male companion with her, and very often they were her lover as well. And I can't remember this woman's name, and I'm going to have to look her up. But I found this book like at a thrift store or something, and the beautiful prints that she made, these beautiful pictures of flowers, and that's technique from that time. They just, people were making these beautiful pictures, but I never heard of her before, and I just fell in love with her, especially reading the text of the book.
Mm-hmm.
She was so adventurous at a time when it was just not, there wasn't a lot of opportunity for women to do that. She just happened to have, money from her family that she could do it.
Tom, can you show VIN 9 on the... Can you see a certain revenge motif in that painting?
And the same women, the same type of women, strong. And this guy look, and he's got some pretty big muscles. And here they go. They're beheading him.
Now, is she Italian?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
Did
yeah.
you meet women like her on your trip to Italy?
No.
Thankfully.
I've met a few women like that in my life, but
Yeah.
not too many.
I just find it interesting and refreshing to see powerful women depicted in art from that time. To me, you don't see that. And I did have we got very little time left. I did have another picture of some sisters playing chess, and they were all women together. And I can't help but imagine, and they were so happy. They were so joyful. I can't help but imagine if there was a man present, they'd have to behave differently. And I think about that a lot. I'm very lucky to have been born when I was born as a woman, because I never let it stop me anyway, but the opportunities were there. I don't know if I took advantage of all of them, but I do know that I didn't let anyone tell me what to do. That was a big problem in relationships, because a lot of men want to tell you what to do. I mean, it's just what they think it's their right. And you can't educate them if they've been educated otherwise up to then. Greg, on the other hand, doesn't do that. We have a relationship where we let each other do, things that we want.
Mm-hmm.
There's no
Expectations?
expectations, I guess. Well, there's some of course, there's always expectations, but we both have friends of opposite sex, and that's not usually liked in marriages. Anyway, we got 32 seconds left. I want to thank everybody. I'm so glad you came. I'm really looking forward to reading that book.
I don't think
down.
I did justice to Robert Musil. I did my best. But.
No, but the thing is, the things that strike us, sometimes I've done that too, where I write something down,
Yeah.
and then when I read it, I'm saying, this isn't really as good as I...
Yeah. I thought it was good. It's just I don't think anyway.
No, you did a great
Yeah.
job, because I'm interested in hearing about it, hearing more about it. I've got like a lot more other stuff going on with the reading. But anyway, thank you, and au revoir.